Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again, hour number 2. Steve Sparky Fifer here, Charlie using other side of the glass as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We will talk with Jack Stern, BrewerFanatic.com, coming up here at about 3:20. Looking forward to getting his thoughts after games 1 and 2. Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. Brewers score 9 runs in the first game, score 7 runs in the second game, 16 runs over 2 games. Nobody necessarily saw that coming. So we'll talk to Jack Stern about that. We're going to talk about the Miz. Talking about Priester getting the start now coming up tomorrow, 4 o'clock start. You are going to want to join us at Natty Oaks Pub and Eatery tomorrow on National Avenue in West Allis. This show will be on location starting at 2 o'clock. We'll have some of those Euchre Magic fan t-shirts to give away as well. Plus, coming up tomorrow, Tommy Wirtz will be out there with the leadoff show from 3 until 4 o'clock. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Josh Albrecht will be out at Natty Oaks. So it can be like a watch party of some of the fan personalities and Josh Albrecht as the game is going on tomorrow. So come hang out, and it'll be a lot of fun. Great food there. You always hear our guy Josh Albrecht talking about that chili over there at Natty Oaks. So you can go experience that for yourself as well. Before we get to Jack Stern of BrewerFanatic.com, who I believe is down there at Wrigley, I want to touch on this Shams Charania report from ESPN. Now, I do understand that there are a lot of people, screw Shams, he's making stuff up, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. Here is Shams from earlier.
I will say this. Giannis Antetokounmpo, his camp, they are going to have a grip on this league to an extent now. There are teams that are going to continue to monitor it, and they're going to ensure that they don't exhaust themselves in other ways if this seismic trade possibility is still available for them in January or February. Okay, so a couple of different things here. There apparently, according to this report by Shams Charania, there apparently was a meeting that occurred in Athens. Horst sat with Giannis and one of his agents, Georgios Panou, or I don't know how you say his name, for the side's most seminal and candid meeting of the summer. It was meant to be an open forum to discuss any lingering hard feelings following Milwaukee's 3rd consecutive first-round exit and thoughts on anyone's mind about the Bucks' moves. The architect of the Bucks' first title-winning team in 50 years laid out his vision for 25-26, saying he believed this version of the roster could compete for a championship in the Eastern Conference. Now, again, as we move forward here, Giannis then responded. After Horst expressed his confidence in the Bucks roster and his moves, Giannis aired his concerns about whether this team could truly achieve championship contention, and he wanted to explore whether there would be an alternative path forward for both the team and the player, league sources said. In the end, Giannis returned to Milwaukee, which is great. But in this article, as you continue to read on, it says, let's see here. Ever since the NBA draft combine in mid-May, Alex Saratis, an Octagon managing director and Giannis' U.S.-based representative, has fielded rampant interest in Giannis and conducted serious due diligence on best possible outside fits should the star and his rest push to be traded from the Bucks. Several teams were discussed internally, but one emerged as the only place Giannis wanted to play outside of Milwaukee, the New York Knicks. Multiple sources with direct knowledge of the situation told ESPN. The Bucks picked up the Knicks' call on Giannis, and the sides engaged in conversations for a window of time in August, league sources said, but the teams never got traction on a deal. Now, if we're being honest, the Knicks don't have much to give up, right? They've got a couple of pick swaps, a 1, and a bunch of second-round picks. Not necessarily enough to get this whole thing done at the end of the day.
It's 1 pick, first round pick, 3 pick swaps, and 8 second rounders, essentially decimating its ability to make an overwhelming offer to Milwaukee. So there's more in the piece of old Giannis quotes and so forth. You can go back and read. Here's Brian Windhorst talking about what Shams had to say.
Blake, there's been an expectation for quite some time that Giannis's days in Milwaukee, one way or another, are numbered. Whether that was going to happen this year, whether it's going to happen potentially during this season, or whether it could happen next summer, as Bobby laid out there. And when you get to situations like this, I find it very useful to focus on actions over words. Let's look at the actions of the parties that we have discussed here. The Milwaukee Bucks waived and stretched Damian Lillard. That cost them $100 million in dead money on their books. Then they spent an additional $100 million to sign Miles Turner this summer. Those are not the actions of a team that is about to trade the best player they've had since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, okay? Then you look at the New York Knicks. Obviously, they knew it was possible that Giannis would be available, and we saw some teams this summer potentially hold back on moves with the idea that Giannis could be available. So the idea that you wouldn't be prepared for this kind of phone call, I don't think is true. And despite knowing that, the Knicks went ahead and extended Mikal Bridges, which significantly limited their ability to make a major trade. Again, that action indicates that they didn't think they were in position to make this type of trade right now. And let's go to Giannis. If you want to be traded as a star player that makes over $50 million a year in the apron era, especially if you have a small selection of teams that you want to be traded to, you do not ask for a trade or discuss a trade in August. Those discussions happen before the NBA offseason begins. That's not to say that a trade couldn't happen, but certainly he would have to understand that. So I definitely think the actions that we see indicate at some point Giannis could again be discussed with the Knicks or elsewhere. But I look at the actions here, and I don't think they were ever going to lead to a deal over the summer between New York and Milwaukee.
So there is Brian Windhorst of ESPN, Shams Charania of ESPN, as well as ESPN simply will not let this story die. I had suggested previously this summer when this continued to happen that I thought, no knowledge, just a guess, that the source for Shams and all of this was Giannis's agents continuing to push this narrative for one reason or the other. That's who I thought the source was. After you read this piece, I am now 1,000% convinced that the source for Shams is Giannis's agents, who are continuously pushing this narrative out there on behalf of them. That I'm not positive because I don't know for it as a fact, but that's what it seems like to me, Charlie. When you have the details that he has of who is sitting in Athens and who's a part of this conversation, what his other agent thinks, I think we were right on this show that it was Giannis's agents and continues to be Giannis's agents pushing this narrative. Oh, hold on a second. There you go.
I don't even know if it's his full team of agents. It might just be this one guy that said he was sitting down in Greece with Giannis and John Horst. Feels like he's the one who would have the most information about what happened in this meeting. He's the one that I think for Giannis is the one that seems like he has the most control and talks to Giannis the closest and is the one who's going to be in on these meetings. It seems like he's solely the one giving most of this information to Shams. The question just becomes, why is that then?
Because nobody wants to hear this. I know y'all don't want to hear this. My question is this: how much credence do you put into the piece by Shams Charania? How much credence are you putting into this? Are you buying what Shams is selling you? Nikolay Lafan talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. I don't know why anybody would think you can win a championship with the New York Knicks. How long has it been?
100 billion years.
So that's my first thing. My second thing is, could there be bigger, grandiose things when you are living in New York, hanging out with people in New York, meeting people in New York and all of that? Could there be that situation? Absolutely. Could those same people in New York, if they had interest in doing business with Giannis, get to Giannis? Absolutely. He doesn't have to move there to get business done with somebody in New York City. This whole Giannis family thing, where did that report come from?
So that was a few different places. The one that got it like popular going on Twitter was that Basketball Central or Hoop Central. That account was the one that put it on there first. Let me double check where they got the information.
See, that's
the other thing.
This is the thing for me, right? I don't like talking about families moving to other countries and everything else. Like, it doesn't seem very Giannis-like at all that Giannis's family would essentially abandon him and go, cool, we're out. We'll see you in 6 to 8 months. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
It came from Tovima.com, which is an up-to-date news source from Greece.
Never heard of it. Not saying it's not real. I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense. With Giannis, his family is so important to him. His kids are so important. His wife, so important. That to think that they aren't going to live here and are going to go live again, where I'm sure he has family and so forth in Athens, and he's just going to live here separately by himself and play and not see his wife or kids. Like, I don't believe you. I'm not buying into it. If it's real, that is real red flags to Giannis's future in general. Just not even saying Milwaukee. You could say just playing in the NBA in general. I don't see it. I can't speak for him. I'll speak for me. I can't see any way in the world I'm away from my kids and Kay for 6 to 8 months a year. And we're going to, I don't have an iPhone, but we're going to FaceTime or something. That's going to make up for it. Nah, there's no way. I don't care how much money the job pays. I ain't leaving my kids and my family. There's absolutely zero chance. And Giannis has been front and center about how important family is to him. His dad before he passed away, his mom, her, the kids, like everybody. It didn't make any sense why that would even occur. And if it is going on, is he just going to get up and walk away? Is that what's going to happen next? Because it does not compute with me why that would be the deal at all. The fact that his agents are pushing this hard through Shams, how hard are they pushing Giannis behind the scenes to get out of Milwaukee? What financial incentive do both agents have to get him out of Milwaukee? I mean, you're all getting upset at Shams Charania as a fan base, which I understand because you don't like hearing what he is saying, but maybe your anger should be directed towards Giannis's agents who may be pushing to get him out of here into a different situation so they both can benefit even more financially than they already are. Maybe that is where all this is coming from.
I mean, but that also seems a little weird to me too, because if you look at this situation, just this report from Shams here, it's only New York that they're talking about, and there's not really any other financial advantage to going to New York versus Milwaukee at this point based on their roster construction.
Is there for the agents?
I mean, this kind of feels like for Giannis and for his agents, again, very personal to him that anything like this is being talked about. I don't know if this is putting pressure on the Bucks as much as this may be putting pressure on the NBA, especially with a lot of these other rumors floating around with LeBron starting leagues in Europe and all these other things going on and the league wanting to expand like that.
All right, you can hop aboard Nicolay Law Fan Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. You can also use Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Sound off with a recorded voice message on the Odyssey app. Nicolay Law Fan Talk, text line, the 262. It breaks my heart. But with Mariah and the kids moving to Athens, why would Giannis want to stay in Milwaukee? Giannis is gone. The 262, why would Giannis want to play in New York if the family ain't here either? Who cares where Giannis is playing if his family isn't here? That's why it don't make any sense. It makes zero sense, folks. You could put him in LA, New York, Miami, Boston, don't care. Philly, I don't care where you put him. If his family ain't with him, how happy is that man really going to be? I don't care how much success he has. I don't care if the man wins a second championship. Is it going to be worth it to be away from your family for that long? My answer to that is hell no. Now, maybe he's a different cat than what front-facing Giannis is and what he says. But what front-facing Giannis says to the media and to everybody that'll listen that his family's all that in a bag of chips, which it should be for all of us, move away from your family and have them in a whole separate damn country? That's crazy. Trell, North Side, you're up first on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk text line. What did you make of that piece from about Giannis from Shams Charania? How much credence you put into it?
I put a lot of credence in it because I think you were pretty right on point. A lot of the stuff you were saying as far as the agent, I know I had brought it up, but I wasn't quite sure. But now I really think that it's most definitely Giannis's agent. And the reason why I say that is because I don't know if you guys remember, but his agent, one of them, I don't know which one, has very strong ties to New York. And this is not the first time New York has been mentioned. If you notice, Giannis mentioned New York on the Ice Speed podcast when he was saying like everybody wants me, trying to get me to go to New York. And I think his agents, I think they can make a whole lot of money. See, they're not thinking about Giannis and Giannis being about, the best position to put him in to win. Because if that was the case, there would be a number of other teams that would be included, and a deal could probably be made between the Bucks because it would be something the Bucks would get a lot back for.
Right.
They're trying to pigeonhole him strictly to New York, and that's what makes me really like, damn, his agent is really trying to get him there. Of course, they're going to make a lot of money in New York. I get it. I know why they're trying to, but they're not looking at it from the instance of really what Giannis wants. They're trying to put Giannis there so they can make as much money as possible off of Giannis, which I get that part too, because that's pretty much their job. But I don't know if Giannis is really kind of looking at it that way too. Does he have anybody outside of his agent and those type of people that are giving him the like, hey, well, they're great agents or whatever, but they're having a personal input on what's best for them too.
And
So
remember,
that way
the
too.
other thing too is he is extremely loyal to these two, extremely loyal to both of these guys. Thanks for the call, Trail. He is a super loyal guy, which again makes no sense that you would abandon your family. Makes zero sense. Well, that's why I don't believe that report. But either way,
that's Trell is talking about how it seems like these agents may be trying to take advantage of this situation for Giannis. But like you said, he's loyal to these guys. These guys, he talks about like family too, and he's brought them up that they are in a lot of important decisions in his life.
Yep.
Again, these agents are set up for the rest of life. They've made a lot of money off Giannis. They're going to continue to make a lot of money off Giannis. Going to New York doesn't make you that much more money in the situation. I really do think this is a situation where they and Giannis are doing things for Giannis's best interest right now. And I don't know what that is in the future, but a lot of things are leaning in weird directions than we thought they were.
Hey, want to hit up a Potawatomi Sportsbook before a postseason game and need a ride to the game? Hit 2 balls with 1 bat by hitching a ride on a Potawatomi game day shuttle. Make any purchase in the sportsbook or same-day sports bet to get a wristband and seat on the shuttle. Shuttles begin approximately 2 hours before first pitch. Return shuttles from the stadium run nonstop for 1 hour after the game. For more information, visit Potawatomi.com. Bet above the rest. That Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen is absolutely amazing. 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, all kinds of delicious food, homemade pastries and desserts as well. Check all of that out today and get on one of those free shuttles. Speaking of free shuttles to and from the game, the guy that covers the team, Jack Stern from BrewerFanatic.com, joins us next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. If you love Wendy's classic chocolate, vanilla, frosty flavors, there's some big news. All new Frosty Swirls and now Frosty Fusions. Same creamy treat you've always loved, and now with a flavor refresh. So what are these new flavors? Okay, well, we've got the Frosty Swirls, strawberry, brownie batter, and caramel, and the Frosty Fusions, Oreo brownie, caramel crunch, and Pop-Tart strawberry. So clock in for sweet treat time with Wendy's all new Frosty flavors. A refresh on a classic. It's got to be Wendy's. I told you on Friday I was going to go get me one, and I did go and get me one. I got one of the Oreo brownie Frosty Fusions. We went and had pizza at one place. On the way home, we stopped, and she goes, "You're stopping for this fusion, aren't you?" I said, "I am." And then Rami was hosting on the Score Friday night, and he goes to have me on. I was like, I want you to know that I'm currently sitting at a Wendy's waiting to go get myself one of these Oreo brownie Frosty Fusions. So just so you're aware. And then he's talking and he's talking and he's talking. And by the end, he's like, "Oh, all right, Sparky, I'll let you go." I'm like, "Well, that's good because my family looks like they're homeless sitting outside of a Wendy's right now waiting for me to go inside and get my Frosty Fusion." It was some nonsense. He's holding me back from getting my Frosty Fusion, Charlie.
I mean, you made a promise too, Sparky. You got to be able to do both at the same time.
Can't eat a Frosty Fusion and talk. I can barely walk and chew gum. Joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, he is Jack Stern from BrewerFanatic.com. Jack Stern, follow him on Twitter by Jack Stern. I have to know, how long have you had the mustache thing going on? Because you've had it for a while, I feel like.
I want to say we're going on 5 or 6 years now. The last time that I was clean shaven, I think, was 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Woo-wee. All right, then. That's good. It's a good look for you. I don't mind it. Let's talk about this Brewers baseball team last night. They scored 7 runs, 3 home runs. A team that everybody questioned if they have enough power to win in the postseasons. Put it on display last night. Of the 3 home runs, the Churiel one, obviously, is a big one because I didn't want him playing because of the hamstring injury. I rather would have just sat him to make sure he was good. I didn't want to put him possibly having that re-injured. So that was nice to see. But for me, the guy that can really change things in this postseason run, if he gets hot again, is Andrew Vaughn. When he hits that home run, if he gets going again, especially with the power side of things, that's a huge difference maker, Jack.
Yeah, that was his first home run since August 15th, so it had been a while since he got into one like that. But that's just kind of a theme like throughout this Brewers lineup. Vaughn certainly fits into that camp. They have guys throughout that batting order who are strong enough to hit for power. They just don't do it super consistently in games, but obviously the power definitely came out last night.
It certainly did come out last night. And the other thing, too, about this team where we are right now, the numbers are floating everywhere on Jackson Churiel, 9 of 17. He's got like 3 home runs in 5 postseason games. The numbers are just absolutely stupid and ridiculous at this point, and I can get down with that. But at the end of the day, I do think slug is going to come into play here. It doesn't have to be home runs, but even if it's just a bunch of doubles that are being put together, in a series, and you look to the middle of that lineup and really from 1 through about 5, and I think that's right where it all comes down to, right? Yelich has to continue to be Christian Yelich and show the power he showed throughout the regular season. If Contreras gets going, and Contreras feels, how do I want to put it, as connected as ever to getting this thing done based on how he's talking. I mean, after the game last night, "Hey, who was that Selly thing about?" And he quickly quirks that he was calling the Brewers fans. Very well played. I think may have been mimicking counsel, but either way, that was a well-played deal. That 1 through 5 probably hold the keys to how far this team goes in the postseason as far as how much power they can provide from doubles to triples to home runs in this thing.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. And
this is a good interview so far. I'm liking it, Jack. We keep going. All right, go ahead.
I'm playing to my host.
Yeah, that's good.
No, it's like those guys in the top 5. Those are the guys who definitely have the ability to drive the ball a little more if they can get it on the right trajectories, catch the ball out in front a little bit. And I probably more than anyone, I was in that camp of like the Brewers need to slug enough in the playoffs to win.
Correct.
They might not need to slug as much as other teams because they do so many other things well, but you need to slug enough. And I think when you look at each of these first 2 games, that's what they've done. It wasn't the home runs in game 1, and everybody likes to bring up the well, they didn't hit any home runs and the Cubs hit 3, and they ended up winning that game 9-3, but they hit a lot of doubles in that game. They were hitting balls hard in the gap, like just the ability to hit the ball hard and get extra bases from one swing or a couple of swings, that matters. And like you look at game 2, like say a Suzuki hits an early 3-run shot, Cubs have the lead. How do you steal that momentum right back? With one swing, Andrew Vaughn. That's the power that the home run has in October. And I think these last 2 games do reinforce why, like, it is a big deal for these guys 1 through 5 to be driving the baseball. And so far they've done that in each of these 2 games.
Talking with our guy, Jack Stern, BrewerFanatic.com. Follow him on Twitter at @ByJackSterns. We get ready for game 3 tomorrow, 4 o'clock first pitch, leadoff show at 3 o'clock, live from Natty Oaks, National Avenue in West Dallas. Come out, hang out, watch the game. Josh Albrecht will be there, and amongst other fan personalities. Definitely want to stay tuned in for that one if you're looking for a place to watch the game. So the pitching side, we did a whole topic on this show. Probably every show in Milwaukee did. How are you going to follow up Aaron Ashby if you're Pat Murphy? And probably 90% of the community in Milwaukee said, well, it's Quinn Priester. Obviously, you knucklehead. What else would it possibly be? And then you see the Craig Counsell interview, a.k.a. Trader, during, and he literally goes, well, I guess it's going to be a bullpen game for them, so we're going to have to figure out how to get some momentum here. He definitely did not expect that to be a bullpen game. I don't think anybody saw it coming from the Brewers.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the camp of not really thinking it was going to be Quinn Priester, but I thought it was maybe going to be Robert Gasser. You roll another lefty out there who's got an arsenal that kind of matches up better against the Cubs than Priester does. But Robert Gasser didn't pitch either. They did go more full bullpen game, and we did find out after the fact, it turns out Jacob Mizorowski was actually the guy who they were thinking could play a pretty big multi-inning role in that whole thing in the middle innings, and that's exactly how it panned out.
Come on now, be realistic. When he came out there, what were you really thinking was going to happen when he walked out there? What were you thinking was going to occur?
I can pull up the receipts. I was sitting in the press box and I texted our pal Kurt Hogue. I said, my bold prediction is this is going to go well. And it did.
Well, that was a good one. My thought on it was, and why I wanted him on this playoff roster and wanted him to pitch, I had 2 things. One, I wanted him to start with a clean inning. I did not want him brought in with guys on base. That was a no-no for me because he does not have a lot of experience in that. That was my first thing. My second thing was, I brought up yesterday, I'm like, maybe he's just a guy that pitches bigger in bigger situations. First game up from AAA, no hits. Now he's got that going. He pitches really well in the second game. He gets hit on the comeback, and by the time he comes back, the spotlight's off. Nobody's really talking about him. And then he kind of loses his way a little bit. Now you put the spotlight back on him in a playoff game in the postseason. He gets ramped up, throwing the ball over 104 freaking miles an hour. And you could tell, even though he wasn't spotting the fastball all that well in that first inning, that he was ready for the moment. That gives me a lot of hope for the rest of the playoffs here if he is going to be that type of pitcher.
Yeah, and it's tricky because you can't really get into the head of a player and know for sure how he's handling that stuff, but it certainly looked like watching that game last night that he did a really good job of taking the emotions of the moment, all of the energy and the adrenaline that comes with that moment, and he channeled it the right way. And that's really all you can ask of a young pitcher when he's thrown into a spot like that. I mean, we saw, like, Tobias Myers is a good example. He did that last year when he started game 3 of the wild card series. And then Mizorowski, a really good example too, like just taking all of that stuff that's going on, and instead of letting that become a distraction, he seemed to use that to his advantage.
102 mile per hour pitches, MLB postseason from 2008 to 2025. Mizorowski had 12 through his first 2 innings pitched yesterday. And Mizorowski, I mean, there's so many things on here. You can go back. The game had 23 101 mile an hour pitches in the game. That's more than were thrown in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 18, 19, 20, or 24 entire postseasons. Jack Stern, in entire postseasons in any of those years. Again, say what you want about Mizorowski, but speed plays, man, and it is not easy to hit. I was saying the other day, we were at Burghart's in the cages, and this little boy was in there, and his dad's like, oh, let's see if you can try 70 or whatever. So he gets in there. The kid jumps out. He's like, oh, no, I'm not doing this. No. So the dad gets in there, and the kid's watching, and the dad's swinging and missing and fouling off a pitch. And I said, now imagine Jacob Mizorowski to this little kid. I go, throws 102, 103. Imagine being able to see that and hit that. I don't care if you're a Major League Baseball player or not. That is not easy stuff.
No, and the other thing to note here too is we've talked about it a little bit before. Mizorowski's got about as much extension as anybody in MLB. He gets down the mound further than most guys. So he's not only throwing 104 like he was last night, he's releasing the ball so close to the plate that your reaction time is like it's like 106 basically. And that's why he's here, right? I saw that there were some people, some fans who were confused why he got a roster spot over, say, Tobias Myers or maybe DL Hall, but this is why. Those other guys, they did good stuff for the Brewers in the regular season, but they're not going to blow the ball past guys. Jacob Mizorowski has the capability to do that, and that's exactly what it is. Speed plays in October. You need to have guys who you can throw out there in situations who are basically matchup proof. You can throw them out there for a couple innings, and you know that their stuff is going to play against anybody you line them up against. And in Jacob Mizorowski's case, as long as he's even remotely competitive, like he wasn't super efficient last night.
Yep.
He walked a couple guys again, but he threw enough competitive pitches. And on those competitive pitches, it was either a swing and a miss, it was a foul ball, or it was a really lazy flyout. Like they did not come close to squaring him up. And that's exactly the kind of arm that you need in the playoffs.
Talk with Jack Stern, BrewerFanatic.com. Follow him on Twitter at @ByJackStern here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Sparky with you on the Fan. Let's talk about the back end of this bullpen. I think everybody was happy with how Jared Koenig finished the season. He looked dominant at times towards the end. That was good. Uribe has done his thing since been giving this opportunity to close. He struck out the side last night. That was wonderful. The question was on McGill and what he was going to look like coming out of that bullpen because he had been hurt for so long, only had one real opportunity there in September. That, to me, of everybody outside of Mizorowski, was the other promising part of what happened from a pitching perspective.
Yeah, he still wasn't quite the guy that he was before he had that flexor strain. And I guess at this point, I'd be a little surprised if he gets back there by the end of the year. But I think he looked close enough. Like the velocity was down 1 mile an hour on the fastball. So that's 98 instead of 99. And you are splitting hairs a little bit once you get to that point. But seeing that he had enough confidence in throwing the curveball as much as he did last night is a big one for me. Because sometimes these guys who throw the power breaking balls, those can be the pitches that are tougher on your elbow, and he's coming off the flexor strain and all this stuff. But he also needs that pitch for that, that high tier velocity to play the way that it does, because he needs to have something that prevents guys from sitting on that fastball, especially because it's not a fastball that has a lot of movement. So if guys can time it up, you do run the risk of getting hit around a little more. But the fact that he seemed to feel comfortable enough in that breaking ball to throw it even more than he threw his fastball last night and get some weak contact with that, I think that's probably what the path is going to have to look like for him a little bit, especially if he can't quite ramp it up to triple digits like he usually did in the regular season. But, just to kind of reiterate, not quite the same version of Trevor McGill, but I think what we saw last night was close enough to that version that he can get some big outs in the playoffs.
All right, give me your preview. Jamison Taillon going for the Cubs. He pitched well his one start in the postseason so far against Quinn Priester, who's been saved here. I think when you do what you did to have Priester pitch in Game 3, where the wind apparently they're saying is going to be blowing in at Wrigley tomorrow, if that's the case, you're trying to end this thing tomorrow. You ain't trying to get to Game 4 or Game 5. You were hoping to get that bullpen win and then try and get the knockout punch Wednesday and then be able to wait till Monday for the LCS to start back in Milwaukee. That's what it looks like to me. How do you look at this game coming up tomorrow?
Yeah, I think this is really important because kind of like you just touched on, the ability to build in those extra off days. If you can take this in 3 games, that's no small deal, especially with Jackson Churrio dealing with the hamstring injury, just with getting your pitching lined up the way that you want to. It is a big deal. So if I'm the Brewers, I'm going into this game and I am pushing the gas pedal down all the way because you have a chance to end it here. And, you never know what can happen when a series goes back to another team's home ballpark. But the reality is the Cubs are the ones who have their backs up against the wall. The Brewers are kind of playing with house money right now. And to me, that's something that bodes well for them. Like all of the pressure is on Chicago here to try and mount a comeback in this series. That's not to say the Brewers can lay off the intensity at all, but they should be feeling pretty good about where they're at right now. And, I was going into this series assuming that it was going to be a tight series. I thought it was going to go to 5 games.
So did I.
After seeing what I saw the first 2 nights, I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think the Brewers are going to wrap this up before this thing gets back to American Family Field.
I like celebrating at Wrigley. I like celebrating in their clubhouse. It sounds like a great plan from a Brewer fan perspective. Celebrating with the trader watching on from the dugout as he lost to the Brewers, a team that he spurned for more money. I'm fine with it. Jack Stern, thank you so much. BrewerFanatic.com. Follow him on Twitter. By Jack Stern. I appreciate it so much, man. And have fun down in Chicago.
Yeah, you got it, Sparky. Thank you.
Take care. There he is, Jack Stern, right there on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Did you hear the booze yesterday? Did you hear the booze for the trader? Did you hear?
Pat Murphy said to stop it, Sparky.
I heard
stop it.
I heard him.
You guys are being too mean.
Hey, man, look, I get it. They're friends, right? And you're going to stick up for your friend, and you're going to try and take some of the heat off of your friend, and that's what friends should do for each other. When he talks like that, I just like, okay, whatever. It's fine. I mean, I get why he's saying what he's saying and all of this. But he's a grown man that made a choice. A grown man that made a choice for the money. And because he didn't think he could win a World Series here, he thought he needed more payroll. That's it. Plain and simple. He didn't think he could win with the payroll that Mark Etzanoski was giving him, so he left. Now, you could say that, Mark should have gave him more money. Well, Mark offered to make him the highest paid at $5.5 million, according to the report. That's not $8 million. That's a significant drop-off. That's not $7 million that apparently, allegedly, the Mets offered him. So it's still significantly less, but it would have made him the highest paid at that point. But as owner of the Brewers, he was not going to shatter the market in the smallest market in baseball for a Major League Baseball manager.
What do you think gets people to stop booing Craig Counsell faster? Him continuing like the sad guy approach every time he gets really, he goes out there with his head down no matter what, or him buying into it a little bit more and kind of like, hyping the fans up when he's getting booed when he comes on like in a regular season game, not in a postseason game, but in a regular season game, playing to the boos, making jokes about it. Let's get them to stop booing him first.
Retirement. That's how it's gonna happen. Retirement.
Or what if he goes to a team that's not the Cubs? Will they stop booing him then? Or do you think they'll still boo him?
If they go to the AL and they only see him once a year, I don't think it will be
like
nearly
the
as
Giants.
bad.
If he goes to the Giants or something.
No, I don't think it'll be that bad. You go to the Cardinals after the Cubs.
That'd be a different story. I'd boo him then.
Now you're trying.
I'd boo him.
Now you are actively trying to get this to go down.
What about the Pirates?
Murphy said that eventually this will pass. I agree. Eventually this will pass unless he wins a World Series there. Then this will never pass, and people will not forget, especially if the Brewers don't win one. If the Brewers win one with Murphy, then I think people may loosen up on Counsell at that point. But if that doesn't happen and then he wins one there and Milwaukee never gets one, I don't know, man. I couldn't tell you how long it would take.
Run him out of Whitefish Bay, baby.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
But they're not going to. He's obviously still there and happy and has all of his family and friends.
If they win a World Series, they might.
Well, maybe. Yeah. Hey, Prize Picks is the best way to cash in on the Packers this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your takes into cash all season long. Charlie, last night, I played. I was sitting there before Monday Night Football, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to play. I'm going to throw together a lineup and see what happens. And I used the stack feature as well. For those of you that don't know what the stack feature is, let me tell you what the stack feature is. That means you can take one player and do multiple projections, more or less, in your lineup, right? Now, this is something they didn't have last year. They added it this year. So you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So you can go more or less and say Patrick Mahomes last night, pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns. And then you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Fine. So last night, I did this. I had Patrick Mahomes with a fantasy score of more than 20 and a half. Fantasy score of 27.72.
Nice.
Check. Trevor Lawrence, more than a half a passing touchdown. He got one. Check. I did not do flex play, by the way. I was so confident I did the power play, not the flex play. And then the second one, which again, I was ultra confident in, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Mahomes got 1. And I lost. But I'm like, I'm not doing flex play. This is definitely happening. There's no question.
If they counted pick sixes, he would have had 2.
Funny. Yeah. 99-yard pick sixes on top of everything else. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Sparky to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, that's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. Charlie Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prize Picks. Up next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from 1250 AM at 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Other side of the glass, Charlie Usen. Got to get to our guy, Charlie Usen. But before we get to our guy, Charlie Usen, mornings can all start to feel the same. So if you're looking for a fresh wake-up call, look no further than Wendy's breakfast. Try a breakfast Baconator, fresh cracked eggs and crispy bacon, a grilled sausage breakfast burrito, or maybe even a honey buddy. Don't even think about sleeping on Wendy's seasoned potatoes and English muffin sandwiches. Doesn't matter what you go for, it's going to change your life. Okay, well, it'll at least freshen up your morning. Ready for a fresh wake-up call? It's got to be Wendy's. Sparky with you here, our guy Charlie Usen over there. We're going to do an on-air production session right now because we are up against the clock. I am going to ask Charlie if he would rather wait on Charlie's Sounds of the Day and do that, say, at 4:20. Are you good moving this to 4:20?
I think that works for me, Sparky. I think we can do that.
Okay, very good. We will move this to 4:20. I want to talk about the LeBron James news. Is that in your Charlie's Sounds of the Day?
It is not, because I thought it was not worth putting in Charlie's Sounds of the Day.
What was the announcement by LeBron James?
It was a Hennessy ad. The liquor, cognac, I think is what it is technically. It was just him promoting a new bottle of Hennessy that he is like the sponsor of.
That's what it was.
That's all it was, Sparky.
Really?
It wasn't even Amazon. It was Hennessy.
You want to know something crazy?
What's that?
So I was standing over there by Tommy, and Tommy's like, what is this? What is going on? And I don't know who posted it. I don't know if it's still up, but FanDuel had a post that said LeBron James is retiring, and it blew up.
Well, and they posted that an hour before the decision was happening. It was weird.
So they got tipped off by somebody that was not correct, that they must have believed it.
It was up at 1 p.m. That's when I saw it. When I was scrolling through Twitter, I was like, no, that's not what the decision was. I saw it. I saw the video of him talking about Hennessy.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that is not good for them. Yes, it blew up and all of that. And when I saw it, I was like, get out of here. He's like, it's not true. It's a Hennessy thing. He goes, it's not right. Because I was like, man, if that's it, oh my goodness. And then people were speculating last night that he was going to announce that this was going to be his last year in the NBA and he was going to retire at the end of the year. That wouldn't have been as big of news, but it would have fit, right? Can you actually see LeBron James quitting and not getting a farewell tour and getting jackets and trophies and stuff given to him at every road stop along his way through the NBA? You know he is going to have himself a farewell tour before this whole thing is said and done.
And it's not even really just him. I think the league would want to celebrate him, and I think some of these teams would want to take the opportunity to get hundreds of fans just to see LeBron James, thousands of fans just to see LeBron James in your city, give away some kind of giveaway for a memory LeBron had in Milwaukee or LeBron had in Toronto, give him a little prize and stuff. Like, that'd be great marketing opportunity.
Yes.
I think the teams would love that, to know that he's going to be retiring like that too. I think all of this with what social media has become, you don't need these types of decisions. So now I'm always going to think this is like the type of thing where it's going to be an ad every single time. This is not special because back in 2011, when he went to the Heat or whatever year it was, like, that was all on TV. That's the only place you could see that type of stuff. Now he could make any kind of declaration he wants, and it'll be all over Twitter in 5 minutes.
Correct. That's exactly right. So that was a letdown of sorts going on there. A couple of other things I want to get to here before the top of the hour. So this Brewers series looks to be about done. That Dodger-Philly series looks to be about done. The last time the Brewers were in the NLCS, who did they lose to? The Dodgers. Right. So this will be try number 2 and see how this goes this time. That Dodger team is scary good right now. Right? They are scary. And Sasaki, I think, is going to be their closer, even though they officially haven't said that. But last night was another example that he needs to be their closer at this point going forward. But their bats up and down that lineup that can do damage is a scary proposition for any team, including the Brewers in an LCS. So you could have Milwaukee and LA over there. Meanwhile, over in the AL, you've got the Blue Jays doing Blue Jays-like things in this one. They lead that series 2-0. That one goes back to New York tonight. I would love to see Toronto knock out New York and the Yankees. That would be fine. And then the Mariners and Tigers, there seems to be a growing sense of want from Brewers fans that it be the Mariners, because the Brewers were the Seattle co-pilots. They become Milwaukee. And then obviously the Mariners come into existence after that. I kind of want it to be the Tigers. If I'm going to get to pick who I'd like to see, I would love a Midwest World Series. I'd be good Milwaukee and Detroit, and let's see what happens, and let's go.
I think that'd be nice. I think it's really just anybody but New York. I'd be okay with Toronto. I'd be okay with Seattle. I'd be okay with Detroit. I think any of those series would be a lot of fun.
I know who really wants it to be Seattle.
Who's that?
Drew Wagner, because then he gets to see his boy Suarez up close and in person playing against his Milwaukee Brewers. I think that would be highly entertaining if Suarez
versus Siegler power bat matchup. It'd be perfect.
Siegler better never be on a postseason roster while I'm alive.
Especially a World Series roster.
Coming up next, Green and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. There was a trade in the NFL today, and it involves a team the Packers are going to play. We'll tell you what that's all about. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.